What's going on, everybody? It's the Bulls Show, aka Aidan, and welcome back to another video. Ladies and gentlemen, we've got a Chicago Bulls related video to talk about today, and this is going to be a trade deadline video. That's right, we're going to be talking about a player that has been linked to the Chicago Bulls quite a few times in the past few weeks, and I want to discuss the overall updates on this player and whether or not it is still seen as realistic to maybe acquire this player in a trade. But before we get started, please like and subscribe to the Bulls Show. Turn notifications on and let me know in the comments below your thoughts about the Chicago Bulls current situation in terms of trades. What do you think is going to be a good trade for this player, and the overall thoughts on the news that I'll be presenting to you today and the rumors as well. So we all know who the player is, ladies and gentlemen. If you've looked at the thumbnail, if you looked at the title, you would understand the player that I'm talking about. Jerami Grant. Great player, ladies and gentlemen, plays for the Detroit Pistons, and things are really heating up in terms of these rumors about Jerami Grant and potential trades for the Chicago Bulls. Even some people that I truly trust in terms of news-related issues as well as opinionated pieces is starting to talk about Jerami Grant as an option for the Chicago Bulls. Whether it be realistic or non-realistic for many of you guys, there is a lot of hype and a lot of rumors around this guy, and it'd be silly of me not to discuss it and at least give my opinion on the situation. So the latest news for this issue on Jerami Grant, or I guess the update on Jerami Grant, is that the Chicago Bulls are trying to get Jerami Grant without giving up Patrick Williams. Now, we all know Patrick Williams is someone that the Chicago Bulls rate very highly, and I can understand the Chicago Bulls not willing to give up a player like Patrick Williams, who could be seen as the future of this team if all things go well. But at the end of the day, that seems like the Chicago Bulls motto at the moment, to try and go for Jerami Grant, to try and give the pieces required to get Jerami Grant in a trade without giving up Patrick Williams. Detroit rate obviously Patrick Williams very highly, and I think any deal evolving around Patrick Williams would probably get accepted for the Detroit Pistons as they rate him that highly, and obviously Jerami Grant would be coming to the Chicago Bulls. We know what he could bring to this team. We know he could be a really good power forward option for the Chicago Bulls. He could add size, he could rebound, he could definitely score the ball, and that's all that I think we need to look at in terms of Jerami Grant. He is a great quality player, and he is someone that can definitely come into this team and help us and contribute to us right now. The question is, A, would you want Jerami Grant on this team? Do you think there are other options available for Jerami Grant? And B, can we get Jerami Grant, or if the packages that we give up for Jerami Grant would be good enough for the Chicago Bulls, and it's something that we should be doing? Do I want Jerami Grant? Let's answer that first question. I would love Jerami Grant on this team. I've said it 1,000 times and I'll say it 1,000 times again. Jerami Grant is an amazing player. He's a fantastic player, and he could be in a situation where he might be one of those perfect fits in that role. A lot of people have a little bit of a divided opinion on what the power forward role should be. Many people want a bigger body that could just rebound and be a post presence for the Chicago Bulls, and other one want a little bit of a more versatile power forward, someone that can again switch 1 through 4 for the defense, someone that can run out and transition, and obviously someone that can have a lot of responsibility offensively. There are a lot of ways you can look at that power forward position, but if we're looking at one way or another way, I think Jerami Grant definitely fits the motto of some of those aspects for the Chicago Bulls, and I would like him on this team. Is it, I guess, viable to get him? Will this actually happen for the Chicago Bulls? Well, it really depends on the trade packages that we're trying to offer to the Detroit Pistons. For example, if we're out here giving up Kobe White, Derrick Jones Jr., Troy Brown Jr., and picks, then that, in my opinion, is a bit too much to give for Jerami Grant, because again, his contract situation is not exactly a great thing for the Chicago Bulls, and if we wanted to keep him here long term, then at the end of the day, it's going to be very hard to do that, considering we have to give Zach LaVine the max. Maybe we could give Nikola Vucevic away in that time frame, because again, his contract is coming up soon as well. Maybe we don't re-sign him and we could keep Jerami Grant. But if all things considered, this team stays the way that it is, it's going to be very hard to re-sign Jerami Grant after we bring him here. Many people call him a 1 to 2 year rental. Is that the type of player that we really want to bring to the Chicago Bulls? Someone that does not really want to be here long long-term, or someone we just simply can't bring back here on a long-term basis? I guess that's the question that we all need to answer ourselves. For me personally, I would not want to give up a lot of pieces, including picks as well, to acquire Jerami Grant if he's only going to be here for 1 to 2 years. This team is locked in at the moment the way that it is. Bringing him into this team, we need those guys, every single one of them locked in, because that is obviously going to be the team that we roll with to try and acquire a championship. And if he's only here for 1 to 2 years, then again, if we don't win a championship in that time, maybe all of this will not be seen as worth it for the Chicago Bulls. It's hard to say, but that's definitely something to consider if you're trying to go for Jerami Grant. If we give Patrick Williams in the deal, if we end up caving in and giving up Patrick Williams, what else do we give a part of that deal? Because I really don't want to get rid of Patrick Williams. I feel like sometimes you could develop players into the type of guys that you want them to be to win championships. The best thing about the Chicago Bulls at the moment is that we are set now. We have Zach LaVine, we have Lonzo, we have DeMar, we have Vucevic, we have Alex Caruso. A lot of our guys are here and we are built now for the playoffs and potentially even to go beyond the playoffs and maybe do something special this season. We have the talent at least to go and do that for the Chicago Bulls. But what's really positive about the way that we are set now, we could potentially be set in the future as well if everything goes right. Again, there's a lot of risk that goes into development of players. It doesn't always work out. But if Ayo Dosunmu keeps on developing at the rapid level that he does, we could keep him for a very long time here with the Chicago Bulls. Same goes with Patrick Williams. If Patrick Williams' development ends up working out for him and he becomes the player we all want him to be, then, ladies and gentlemen, he could be here for a very long time. And the future would be set with those two guys. And maybe even Kobe White could be added to that mix as well, because he's only 21 years old at the end of the day, or 22 years old, and he's going to be coming up on restricted free agency. If we bring him back, he could be seen as a future player for the Chicago Bulls for the long term as well. This future is set with I guess, Kobe White, Patrick Williams, Ayo Dosunmu, if they all develop and all play very well, rather than trading at least two of those pieces away. And then at the end of the day, we're going to end up with kind of just Ayo in that situation and not really anything else to really provide for that future. Do you really want to go all in now, trade the young assets that we have for a player that could be ready to win now? Or do you want to throw the game plan out of the window, try to go for it all now, and if it doesn't work out, do you want to be rebuilding for the next few years? Because that's the situation that we're in. Obviously, Zach LaVine and Jerami Grant, if they do come here, they're 26, 27 years old. They're going to be here for a few years if we keep them long term. Those are the guys that are obviously going to be the main guys. But DeMar DeRozan's only here for 3 seasons. And after that, do you really want to keep him here with the Chicago Bulls? It depends on, I guess, how well he plays within those 3 years. This season's been amazing. What do you do after this season? What does he do after this season? What is Nikola Vucevic going to be? Do you want to keep him here? Lonzo Ball's contract is going to be expiring around that time, 3 to 4 years. Is he going to stay here? All of a sudden, there could potentially be issues in terms of the Chicago Bulls and that future. But if you bring in those guys that are currently going to be restricted free agents and you keep them here for four more years and stuff like that, then all of a sudden, maybe some of those future worries won't be as big of worries if you don't trade for Jerami Grant. Regardless of the situation, ladies and gentlemen, he's a very important player, and obviously the news is that we don't want to get rid of Patrick Williams. I think that's perfect in my opinion. If we can get Jerami Grant without giving up Patrick Williams, reality is I think many people would go for that, and I definitely think that's definitely an option for the Chicago Bulls that I would take. There are risks involved with Jerami Grant, but we'll just have to wait and see what the Bulls can do, because if we do get Jerami Grant and we don't give up Patrick Williams, that's a massive steal for the Chicago Bulls in my eyes, and that is something I would love to see happen. But if we give up Patrick Williams alongside of a player like Kobe White and stuff of that, I think that's too much for him. I think that's too much for him with no guarantee of long-term plan with Jerami Grant. He could leave after 2 years. There's also rumors that he doesn't want to be a 4th or 5th option on this team, and he's definitely at least going to be a 3rd option on this team. He's not taking shots ahead of Zach and DeMar, and maybe Vucevic is in that conversation as well. So maybe he's seen as the 4th option, maybe in relation to what he was with the Denver Nuggets as a 3-and-D type of guy. Does he really want to be that again? Very hard to say. But at the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to have to wait and see. This is the first free agency previously video, I would love Jerami Grant. I would take Jerami Grant if it doesn't involve Patrick Williams. But as soon as Patrick Williams gets involved in that conversation, then it depends on who else is going to be in that trade, because that's a lot to give up. Patrick Williams and Kobe White, Patrick Williams and assets like draft picks and maybe a Derrick Jones Jr. type deal. I think that's a bit too much for the Chicago Bulls, especially considering they don't want to trade Patrick Williams, and they clearly still rate him highly enough to be part of the Chicago Bulls plans in the long haul. We have a lot to talk about in that area, but I know this video is going to divide opinion. Many people will say we don't need Jerami Grant. Many people will say we absolutely need Jerami Grant. I know a lot of people are split on the fence on that situation, and all I can say is the Chicago Bulls know what's best, and if they are going to pursue Jerami Grant, whether it is without Patrick Williams or whether it is with Patrick Williams, they're obviously doing it for a reason, and I've always said I will trust this front office ahead of anything. Even my own feelings won't get in the way of that. So I personally say if we don't get Jerami Grant, it's not the end of the world. But if we could get Jerami Grant without sacrificing our future, I think a lot of people would be down for that. So let's just wait and see what happens. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe if you're new. I should also say, I don't think we're getting Jerami Grant. I should also put that in the conversation as well. I do not think we are going to get Jerami Grant. I think it's a very unlikely situation to put yourself in, and I find it extremely harder to believe that we will get Jerami Grant without giving up Patrick Williams. They clearly want that player, and either the Bulls are going to cave in, the Pistons are going to cave in, or none of us get what we want. And that is kind of the situation that we're in. And I do think the Pistons, considering some of the trade offers that they've declined and some of the offers they presented to other teams, they want a big player for Jerami Grant. So let's just wait and see what we could do, what will happen in terms of this situation. Have a wonderful and safe day. I'll see you in another Chicago Bulls video. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay tuned for more. Take care.